Okay, welcome back to part 2 of the oral administration test examples. I know you guys are probably tired of hearing my voice, but we only have a little bit longer. If a student needs all the test questions read aloud, this is very important, we want you to read them in the order that they are presented. For reading assessments, the students must independently read the selection first, and then the test administrator may read aloud each question in the order they are presented. So it's very important that you follow those directions. Now, if you have a student who's working through the assessment independently and they only want certain words or phrases or sentences to be read at a certain time, you can read aloud what the student requests when he or she requests it, and no particular order must be followed that way. And again, I told you we were going to go over some specific examples of what to read and not to read when you're presented with certain graphs, tables, charts, because I know that can get kind of confusing. So if you're a visual learner, this will probably help you greatly. On bar graphs, most words and numbers and graphics may be read aloud. However, interpreting the graphic is not allowed. So you can read the title, labels, numbers, any kind of words in the key. You can read that aloud, but you cannot read the answer or give them an answer or interpret the graph for them. On clocks, you don't want to read the time for the student. That's a big deal. It says that clock faces, digital or analog, may not be read aloud, but the labels on the clock can be read. More guidelines for math. The point line and axis labels may be read aloud. Labels, numbers, and boxed text may be read aloud. Box text. Boy, my eyes, I tell you. All right, and then on money, words and numbers on images of money may not be read aloud. So that's interesting. All right, more guidelines for math. The letters and numbers may be read aloud. Titles and categories may be read aloud. Symbols may be read aloud as a symbol, but they may not be described or interpreted. Dashes, you're going to want to say to or through, depending on the content. Dates, you're going to read it exactly as it states, June 16th, 1978. Decibels, you're going to say 3.5 or 0.178. Exponent, you're going to want to read it exactly as it says, 3 meters squared, y to the 5th power. Fractions, read it exactly as it's stated, 3 over 7, 3x minus 5 over 7, 3 and 1 over 4. For functions, you're going to read it exactly as it says, f of x or g of negative 2. And again, if you have any questions, you can stop by. We'll go over this with you if you just feel concerned. Many mathematical symbols may be read aloud as the word or words they are commonly represent, except in cases where that may aid the student in getting the correct answer. This table shows how common symbols may be read aloud. So basically, that's the most math symbols common that are used, and it tells you how to read it. So it's important down here, you're not going to say greater than, less than, greater than or equal to, less than or equal to. We're not going to want you to say that. It says symbol. So that's important to note down here. Most words and numbers in the graphics may be read aloud. However, interpreting the graphic is not allowed. So this is for reading and writing. All words may be read aloud. It is not allowable to indicate what the arrow symbol represents. Heading and other words may be read aloud. All words may be read aloud. Guidelines for science. Most equations, formulas, and scientific expressions may be read aloud in the same way they are read aloud in the classroom. Just as HCl, just say HCl. Genotype RR, you're just going to say genotype big R, little r. So you want to put the distinction in there. Chemical elements and compounds, they may not be read aloud as the names of the elements or compounds. So you don't want to give them the answer. So just read it C6H12O6. Or AG is just going to be AG. More guidelines for science. Most words and numbers and graphics may be read aloud. However, interpreting the graphic is not allowed, so we don't want to give any answers. Just read the title, labels, numbers, words in the key, titles, labels, and percents. When you have maps, the same thing, titles, labels, and numbers, words in the key. You don't want to identify certain countries, states, etc. Photographs with labels, you can just read the labels aloud. When you have a table, you can read the title, heading, and number. Abbreviations may be read aloud. And if you have any questions or feel uncomfortable, just come by and see me. I can print you certain charts or reminders to help you feel more comfortable during the day of the test.